Every year gets more tumultuous than the last, but gosh darn it, the year I don't find time to play games is the year I'm dead or in prison. With that said though, it's sad to say, but my primary feeling this year towards the games I played was kind of disappointment. Either games weren't really living up to the hype, they were just blatantly terrible, or like, they just didn't really make me feel any kind of way. Luckily though, some games this year managed to break free of this trend, and it's these games that we'll be talking about today. First though, the first roguelike I injected directly into my bloodstream this year was Rad. Honestly, a pretty run-of-the-mill action game where a lack of deep mechanics or narrative was kind of compensated for by like this huge raster of enemies. Some good and some bad, you know. I guess overall I'd say this one evened out to a clean 5 out of 10 for me. Like, it's not great, but at least it wasn't as bad as Ruin Raiders. Ruin Raiders is on more of a tactics and strategy kind of vibe, which is cool, but unfortunately this game is also on a not being finished made kind of vibe, which is less cool. The graphics, UI, and meta progression between runs all kind of seem more like an afterthought than anything, leaving this game a little less fun to play. I think one of the greatest trappings a roguelike is gonna fall into is depending too much on random chance to decide victory or defeat, and Death Road to Canada unfortunately falls victim to this situation despite being like actually quirky and entertaining. Alright, I'm saving the rest of the roguelike action for the top 10 list, but the last one I'll talk about for now is Necropolis. I had actually been waiting since 2016 to finally dive into this one, and was so disappointed when I finally did. Advertised as a Souls-like roguelike, it is neither a good Souls-like nor a good roguelike. Environmental design is poor, combat is janky and stilted, progression is unsatisfying, and this is all poorly explained to the player. It's definitely one of the worst games I've played all year, but it's far from the only disappointment. No one chooses the games I play but me, so I can't really be too mad about playing a bunch of bad games, but I'm still gonna take a second to talk about how disappointing some of these were, because it's my channel, and I do what I want here. I don't know if you caught on. I was so pumped to play Enslaved: Odyssey to the West after developer Ninja Theory released their newest game this year, Senua's Saga: Hellblade 2. Maybe I should have just played their latest release though, as I was not really super impressed by what Enslaved had to offer. The combat was a lot of fun with like this weighty sound design and these good animations coupled with fun combos and abilities, but that's kind of more or less the extent of what the game has to offer. Most of this game was terribly boring and repetitive, and the writing wasn't really doing a lot for me either. If I had more time, I'd make a separate video picking this game apart, but we got a lot more disappointments to get to here, like Koromon. I don't actually have too much to say about this one. It's just a Pokemon clone to a T, which is great if you love that sort of thing, but I just wish the game had some kind of unique spin on the formula to help me justify spending time playing it. Ooh, and here's a fun one. The worst game I played this year was Agents of Mayhem. This actually might be one of the worst games I've ever played, period. Like, I seriously struggle to think of one aspect of this game that isn't bungled into the shadow realm. We've got bad graphics, awful writing and voice acting, evil camera control, grating art design, mid-gameplay, terrible movement controls, and somehow worse than all of these things is this game's performance. I couldn't make it through a single mission without some game-breaking technical mishap, usually multiple, and after a certain point I just decided this game was not worth fighting for. Okay, I promise I have a list this year. I just gotta highlight a couple of games real quick and then we can get the show on the road. I'm sure all of you, as true the epic Quinn fans, remember my mention of the game God Eater during my best games of 2021 video and have been eagerly awaiting for me to talk about its sequels. Well, fear not, loyal viewer, this year I took the time to beat God Eater 2 and 3, and they were both disappointing. I think it's safe to say I'm officially Team Monster Hunter now. Also, for some reason, which I don't yet fully know, I got every achievement in each of the 8 Ubermosh games, and I didn't even have fun the entire time. I was actually gonna make a video on these two, but they actually weren't that interesting and I'm a busy guy, so here's my ranking actually right now with a special shout out to Ubermosh Black as the worst game of the bunch. Wowee! Alright, it's been long enough. It's time for me to bless your eyes and ears with my picks for the best games of 2024. Here we go, baby. Anodyne 2 is cryptic, moody, strange, and a lot of fun to explore, but it's not without its downsides. Its shallow mechanics left me feeling like it ran on for a little longer than I would have preferred, but I'd be lying if I said this game didn't hit me in my feelings. This game and its prequel are all about the vibes, so if that's your thing, I'd recommend you check these hidden gems out. I was born just a little too early to enjoy the earthly pleasures of GoldenEye on the N64, but it seems I was born just in time to enjoy the quirky charisma of the spy who shot me. I can't actually speak to how much this game has in common with GoldenEye besides the similar graphics and subject matter, but I can speak to how surprisingly funny this game is. Your main character is just a complete asshole and everyone hates him, but he's just so good at his job that everyone just has to put up with him. This actually led to a lot of moments that made me smile, and it's not even just the humor either. If you're a completionist fiend like I am, you'll have a heyday with this one. I had a blast collecting all the game's hidden medals, and I actually 100% completed this one, so if you like shooters and you like comedy, then this might be up your alley if you're willing to put up with a little jank.
I think about it all the time, that I might run out of time, but I finally met my baby.
I know what you're thinking. Why has Quinn not talked about Devolver Digital? The whole reason I clicked on this video was to listen to Quinn talk about Devolver. Well, fear not. Oh, I already said that, didn't I? I'm going through the script right now. I made the same joke twice. Well, whatever. My number 8 pick is Disc Room. It's easy to learn, hard to master, and it offers some pretty neat art direction and a lot of discs to collect. This game is actually deeper and more mysterious than it might seem at first glance, and I found myself having a lot of fun thinking about that sweet, sweet Disc Room lore. This one's pretty cool, especially if you love a challenge.
This one's for all my mean girls. This one's for all my bad girls.
Post Void gets my heart pumping so fast that it doesn't even feel safe to play. It's a total blast running through these warped halls and icing every surreal ass monster that crosses your path. This one has got to be the best roguelike I played all year. It's unique, it's polished, and it's just straight up fun. Oh, and it's only $3, so there's no excuse not to play it, you just have to. Okay, I've never played Lost Planet 1 or 2, but I can assure you that Lost Planet 3 is an underappreciated gem. It does the important things right, like having interesting writing and beautiful environments, but it also does some smaller things well too. It's got fun monster design, a non-intrusive, usually invisible HUD, and is genuinely funny sometimes. Lost Planet 3 is like if Dead Space and Titanfall had a baby, except it's probably not actually as good as Dead Space or Titanfall, but it's still good. It's still good. I was definitely ready to be done by the time the game was over, but I thoroughly enjoyed the ride.
It's so confusing sometimes to be a girl.
Last year, I played Metro 2033 and liked it enough to put it in my yearly top 10 list, and this year I'm doing the exact same thing with its sequel. I like Metro Last Light for pretty much all the same reasons I like the first game, except this one might just be a little bit better. Facial animations, graphical fidelity, and writing are just a few of the areas I noticed some improvements in. I don't know, these games never cease to be tense, suffocating, and sometimes honestly terrifying roller coasters that leave me wanting more. If you're into that post-apocalyptic type of situation, like horror, stealth, or linear kind of maybe narrative focused games, then some good shit. Alright, this one's out of pocket, but I got a thing for Shell Shock Live. It's such an uncomplicated game, just so beautiful in its simplicity, bro. I love just straining to land that perfect shot. I love ending a match and watching all my abilities like level up one by one, and I love this whole community that surrounds the game. It seems like a prerequisite to playing this game is being a very chill individual, just a laid back guy, which has given me lots of genuinely funny moments and memories. I love you, Shell Shock.
I wish you talk, wish you talk, wish you talk, wish you just talk to me.
I think that most people who are deeply involved with gaming would despise this pick, but I am crowning Rage 2 as my number 3 this year. Its story is practically non-existent, it doesn't really do anything novel gameplay-wise, and most would call the graphics unimpressive, but in terms of raw fun, I think this game was the most blatantly enjoyable game I played all year. I just had a heyday with all the weapons and abilities, and I found pretty much all the enemies fun to fight too. If you want to hear me yap about this one some more, I actually posted a video on it earlier this year, but in the meantime, I think that most people who are deeply uninvolved with gaming would be completely unsurprised by my picking Portal 2 for the number 2 spot. I don't think there's much I could say that someone hasn't said already about this game, but it has unbelievable level design, writing, music, puzzle design, setting. The Aperture Labs really feel like a real historied place in this game, and my favorite parts are when I was able to explore just a little more of them. This one's a classic, but if you like yourself some puzzles, then I'd say buying this is a no-brainer. I loved Metros 1 and 2 and was kind of scared that this game would be too drastic of a departure from them, but Metro Exodus capped off the saga with such beauty and grace that at the end of the game it left a tear in my eye. This one's just got it all, man. It's prettier, it's bigger, it's scarier, it's more bombastic, interactive, and sophisticated than ever. There's a giant fish monster, there's a mutant bear, you can drive vehicles and customize weapons. Metro Exodus trades the series' traditionally linear style of gameplay for a more open approach that allows you to explore a handful of open world environments that just seem to get progressively more beautiful. A fantastic game and a fantastic end to this story. If you play one game on this list, I'd say do yourself a favor and make it this one. Real ones already knew this, but I've actually recently passed 10 years of owning a YouTube channel and posting videos, which is a milestone I've been thinking about for a long time now, not even gonna lie. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do to celebrate, but I'm thinking something along the lines of like a face reveal, and I kind of want to like react or talk about my old videos or something. I think, not everybody has the opportunity to go back and watch themselves grow up in real time, so I kind of wanted to get a little real with you guys maybe and talk about it. For the time being though, thank you for watching this video, and thank you to all of you for being here over the course of a decade? This journey has been something I would never trade, and I really do hope this is the first decade of many. Thank you, I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.